40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11. 10.
9. 8.
7.
6.
5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And wow, I just came in from an event and I'm doing editing here on the fly and all that. But hey, we got a show for you tonight because, you know, it's getting close to election time and we want to talk about voting and such things. Okay, so who do we call? We call our favorite clerk of Indiana, David Shelton, down in Knox County. And he was on his way to his office to have a nice backdrop of probably some buttons or something that he usually has. And then he realized he didn't bring his pass. And, you know, how that goes. So now he's back home on his front porch with the crickets. So he's going to be coming on and telling us some stuff about that. And I do have to warn you, small talk, I did not get a chance to edit it. It's downloading right now. So hopefully Mark did a good job of editing it and we'll have something with that. But without any further, let's see. We haven't had it. We didn't have a show last week, but I think this is like our 190th episode of the Mouthwash Talk Show. And we thank our loyal viewers for watching this. And let's see who's here. Yeah, Spiro, he was at the event with us tonight. Hey, a little shorter drive. I barely made it. Almost had a traffic jam on the 465 or the 70 or something out there. Always some traffic. But anyway, we got a lot of stuff happening. I mean, We've had another attempt on the president and all sorts of stuff that's going on here. And I saw a joke that Kamala Harris, she, let's see, how did they say that? She avoided an interview. I don't know. I messed it all up. Sorry. It was something about an attempted interview got her or something like that. So something about that. So, well, we got Dorn here. Dorn's already banning Lucy from the show and she's not even on yet at backstage. So I'm stalling a little bit if you couldn't tell. But I'm going to go ahead and bring on David Shelton. He's outside. The mosquitoes are probably getting him because you're down there by the Wabash River, right? And there's a lot of mosquitoes down there.
Yeah, not too bad. A little bit of cricket noise and dogs, and my neighbors across the road have free-range turkeys and guineas, and I may have some raccoons. Got raccoons.
Oh, my God.
Now too.
Wow, this is is your cat gonna get that raccoon?
They tolerate each other, except they all fight over the same food. So you may hear some noise in the background. It's not me. I'll put my hands up so I can prove I'm not.
Yeah, it proves it's not you. But, well, I didn't know you were like Mutual of Omaha on our show with your wild animals. You're going to bring them on there. We'll
live in God's country. What can I say?
What's that guy's name's Jim, and then Marlon Perkins. Man, whew, that made my head hurt thinking back that far. But yeah. So, hey, David, thanks for volunteering because I've been out campaigning so much, and I've been doing some neglect to our show, and but you made a good point. Let's talk about voting because early voting's coming up, and I got some questions myself. Lisa actually helped a newly citizenized immigrant sign up for their voting for the first time, and we'll get into that story later, but. And it has something to do with wanting to do an absentee ballot. That'll be a teaser for you. So you're probably thinking, well, why would they want to do an absentee or a mail-in? Well, we'll let you know that when we get the panel on here. We'll talk about it. So, David, how you doing? Tell our viewers who you are, how you are, and what you are.
Well, I'm David Shelton. I'm the Knox County clerk. Run the elections down here. I'm also the Republican chairman of Knox County here as well. So we're a couple different hats. Yes, in addition to that, I'm chairman of the board, Knox County Housing Authority, and I'm also a member of the Knox County Public Defender Board. I don't have a hat like that.
I got extras. Yeah, you're the one that keeps us sane on the conspiracy. So, but yeah, and you've been doing that for how long?
Been the clerk for about 6 years now. Been chairman of the Housing Authority for 12, and I've been on the Public Defender Board for 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah, and you did run for Secretary of State. Is there something in the future for you, maybe up the hill? Or are you happy where you're at?
I'm keeping my options open. I've got 2 more years in office. Not going to be looking to leave office early for my current position, but just keeping my options open.
All right, yeah, you never know these days. People just move, switch, die, whatever. I mean, that's how I got into it. The person had passed away, and it's just crazy how things change and opportunities come up, because I would have never thought that 4 months ago that I would be running for the U.S. Congress. But so Dan Toll's online. He was at the event as well, and Tammy says hi. So anybody that wants to see some of Tammy's work, she actually helps me do the newsletter that we put out. We put out America's Blueprint on my website, johnschmitzforcongress.com. Doing a cheap plug here, and we cover different topics. You might want to check it out tonight. We are talking about Gen Z versus millennials. And I'm going to have an event coming up that we're going to do Family Feud, Gen Z versus millennials in October. I've gotten some pretty good feedback, because I think a lot of these younger kids, they like to go to the bars and play the trivia games and all that. So I'm like, well, let's try to make this exciting and maybe get them stuck into politics, and they can be ruined like us. It'll be all good. But yeah, so yeah. Oh yeah, Dorn's like Gen X. No, I'm sorry, Gen X. Now, David, you're a Gen X, right?
I am Gen X.
I'm sorry. You're not going to make it. So I'm a baby boomer. So
okay.
Yeah, it's like
Gen X is we can handle anything. It's the way we were brought up.
Yeah, you were raised by wolves. What are you talking?
Yeah.
But well, I'll give you the choice, since you're the guest tonight. You've been so gracious to hop in and bail us out. Mark Small or panel? What do you want to do first?
Oh, I'll defer to your expertise on this one.
All right. Well, I'm curious about seeing what I did with Mark Paul, because usually I edit the front and the back of it or whatever. So, I mean, this is like, and he sent it to me in a different file. So, well, let's just see what happens. This is Mark Small and Small Talk.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is a special edition of Civil Discourse Now Small Talk. We're going to talk about the candidacy of Micah Beckwith. He's running as Lieutenant Governor nominee for this iteration of the Republican Party in the 2024 election. He's Lieutenant Governor behind Mike Braun. The ticket doesn't get split. So if you're going to vote for one, you have to vote for both. Now, there are some problems with Beckwith. First, everybody kind of knows about him. He has more name recognition probably than any of the candidates for governor, lieutenant governor in either this iteration of the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, or Libertarian Party. Why? Because he's made sure people know about him. A couple of years ago, he ran for U.S. House. When he did that, he was talking about how you can't be moral unless you're a Christian. Sorry about this. That was on a recording on October 23rd, 2019, right before he filed his candidacy. Now, if he's running for public office and he's saying you can't be moral unless you're a Christian, and he said, sorry, if you're a Hindu, an atheist, or a Jew, you cannot be moral. Well, what's he going to do about treating people equally under the law as an officer of the state or an official of the state? Well, one way that he avoids any questions like that is he's avoided having his name being the only one on the ballot for an office. He's running with Braun. He got the nomination in the convention. It's because he got his butt kicked in 2020, and he doesn't want to risk that again. So what's he going to do about that? And is he going to hire immoral people to put in the government? That's a good question. And we can see what he might do down the road if he were to make it into higher office beyond lieutenant governor, because that's kind of what he's pointed towards by looking at what he's done in the past, namely Hamilton East Public Library, where his book banning methods there really cost the library a lot of money and got a lot of really negative press for the place because they were acting like silly people, and Beckwith acted like he didn't know anything on how to run a library. I still want to know if he had a library card from any library at that point. And the last thing I want to look at is guns. He talks about the Second Amendment remedy, and people are talking about, well, if things don't go right in this election, they're going to do something with their guns. Really, like what? Kill more school children? Because here's the thing. Let's say I'm anti-gun. Let's say this is a gun, okay? Might as well be. It's a banana. I'm going to walk into a polling place and say, make sure that this place is cleaned up and nobody is doing fraud here. Can't do it. You don't have the capacity to ask anybody for their ID or make sure they're doing something they're not supposed to. Wait a minute. You might be able to tell just by looking at them. How would you do that? Well, that was kind of how people in the 17th century were able to identify African slaves here on this continent because of their darkened skin. So it's a racist thing. There's no way you're going to use the Second Amendment in that way. Now, finally, he said he's going to be a thorn in the side to any governor if he's lieutenant governor. That's not how checks and balances work. But that means he's going to tie everything up in a knot like he did at Hamilton East Library. So you don't want to do that. Now, last thing, we've got a flag here. This flag, in violation of federal law, it's got the photograph of the Republican nominee for United States president. And the only way that you can destroy by law a flag that's been desecrated as that has is by burning. So we'll be doing that within a week or so. Thank you. My aides just took it out of the house. So I don't know where it's going to be from this point on. Mark Small Talk Civil Discourse now.
Wow, I don't think he likes Micah Beckwith. What do you think, David?
I think he needs to pace himself. We got a little less than 50 days to go before the election. He's going to blow a gasket.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's what I get for not being here to edit that, because it's 3 minutes and 49 seconds, and he got extra airtime tonight. But that's good, because we made the right call, because it looks like Tiffany just popped in backstage. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to bring him on in order, David, here on this. Okay. So let's see. We'll get him in here. So there we go. Hey, Brad, how you doing?
Good. That was amazing to listen to. I loved like every minute of that. I agreed with like everything that Mark was saying.
Yeah, he was going.
Yeah. I mean, it was all pretty and I even go kind of like, I think, harder when we talk about how Micah got to be lieutenant governor. Like, he worked his butt off to get there, but he totally exploited a weird little loophole to.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was almost. Let's put it this way: if you try it again, it's not going to be that cool.
No, there were. I remember there were people that posted they're Micah's delegates. I mean, he got people to fill open spots that it wasn't even in his area. He went statewide. That's what
he was like
ran around the whole state to get people. I mean, yeah.
He maybe should have just gone for governor straight out of the gate. Now, David, you've met Micah Beckwith before, correct?
Oh, several times, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you did.
I mean, somewhat regularly.
Who hadn't met him? So, yeah, I think that might put Mark had a streak of 5 different small talks where he mentioned Micah. Then he missed one. Now he's back on a 2 streak.
I know, yeah.
So let's see if he can keep the pace going. And
yeah, that was fun. I'm gonna rewatch that tonight, man.
Okay, well that's. We can have Mark come over and do one live for you. You just don't know that. Well, let's see what Lucy's up to. Lucy, what's happening? I caught you off guard.
I'm just in a bit of a foul mood. It's election season, and I see all of the fraud, and it just ticks me off.
Yeah, it is. It is something else. Well, I really, was just impressed with Dorn. He had throw Lucy off the show before you even got backstage. I mean, he's like
he did.
On
he
it.
did. He was faster than me. I was messed around with the lighting. But I do want to comment on my dear friend's small talk, because the fact of the matter is that a lot of the things that that he pointed out, like Brad said, they're true or whatever, but I don't think where the hate is for Micah. And, far be it from me to be the one that defends him. But the fact is, he put in the work. He figured out that it would take less work to be lieutenant governor and to raise support for himself and to get nominated at the convention. He's the one that did the hard work to get the recognition. He is the one that created the marketing that appealed to the people who voted. So I don't feel any hate towards him becoming the lieutenant governor. I mean, he executed it so well that nobody saw it coming. So
Yeah, it
whether
was.
you
No,
agree with
from
him or
like a
not,
Yeah, I don't think
it is
Brad's
impressive,
discounting
and
that.
I don't mean to knock him in that way at all too. Like, I feel like we all like Micah. Like, it's not an issue of I don't like Micah as a person or as a pastor. I just feel that he should be nowhere near an elected office.
Well, I think we should give him a chance. I mean,
No,
everybody
I
deserves.
he
don't think
had
he
no,
can
no, no,
be
John,
any
because he had
worse.
his chance at the library board.
Well, that was
He
practice.
he could have shown some sense of leadership, some sense of compromise on things, and he went full right. He went full extreme every time.
I think we all learn as we go. Maybe I
He
don't know.
he just resigned out of it though, and said he thought he did a good job. It's like the Trump mentality. It's like, yeah, everything I do is great. Um,
I
COVID,
think
I nailed it. A
you
plus.
misspelled Kamala wrong.
No, man, are we gonna get into the debate?
Yeah, we are.
Let's bring
Maybe.
Tiffany
I don't
to the
know.
debate. Is
I mean,
Tiffany
she
there
hadn't
yet?
received a stinking vote, Brad. She hadn't received one vote, and you're sitting here saying something about Micah. And yeah, okay, well,
John,
hey,
John, honestly, so what I'm gonna say though is, say Joe Biden does pass away. This is something that anybody who voted for Joe Biden had to have thought of in 2020. Like that was not just like, oh, this guy's gonna live forever. No, we were not.
He didn't come out and
It was like, okay,
campaign.
Kamala might become president. Like that, we knew that when we voted for Biden. So
Okay, so you
I
weren't
still don't.
duped on that. My thing is
No, but
well, I think we would have found
but I
out.
get where you guys are coming from with like, yeah, it is.
And we would have been able to find out where he was if he had to come out and actually campaign. I mean, he won that election under the guise of COVID. I can't campaign. We can't see what kind of
and Trump lost that election because of COVID. Like Trump would still be president if the COVID never happened. Like Trump would still be president easily.
That's good. So let's get to David. I mean, this is very interesting conversation you and I are having, Brad, but we got other couple people on the show here, and I try to be a good host and all that. And David's out there with mosquitoes, crickets, raccoons, and he's fighting off a bear here in a minute, I think. So, that's what we do here for anything for Mouthwash, right, David? You're one of our best guests we have here.
Well,
so
I don't know what that's saying about the show, but
the bar is more like a curb, but hey, we're trying. So I'm going to start out the question. So say I want to cheat in the election, what would be the easiest way to do it? Just a hypothetical. I'm not trying to, I want you to expose a loophole. That's what I want. Expose something that could go wrong.
So the biggest weakness in our election process in Indiana
is the
mail-in absentee ballots. We don't know who's actually filling that out. You can go online and request it for your parents or whatever, get mailed to it, and you can fill it out, return it. And if the signature comes close to matching what we have on file between the application and the ballot envelope, there's not a whole lot that we can do about it.
Now that, honestly, that's a whole lot of work, and I don't see that really being a big swayer. It may be like having a hometown referee against you, possibly, type of thing. If you play good enough, it doesn't matter who's reffing, you're going to win. But that brings me up to the comment I made earlier about our new citizen that registered to vote. The reason he wanted the mail-in ballot was he didn't want to go in to the authority and vote. So that was.
He didn't want to be intimidated?
He did, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, a lot of people come to the country and they're from a culture where you avoid any kind of official people, and if you're questioned by them, you always answer in the affirmative. I mean, this is the reason why we do have some non-citizens getting registered to vote, even here in Indiana, because they're accustomed to always saying yes. And in our voter registration process, our system, the only penalties is under penalty of perjury. There's not a prosecutor in a state that would go after that. So, I have several well-documented instances around the state where non-citizens have registered to vote. And the reason why we know this is happening is because some of these same people have then gone through the process to become U.S. citizens. And it's during that background check, during that investigation, has come to light that they were illegally and improperly already registered These people are then going back to the county clerk saying, "Hey, I need to cancel my registration because I want to become a citizen, and it's kind of hard to become a citizen if I'm already breaking the law."
Breaking the law. Wow. You can't make some of that up. So Lucy, I'm gonna put you up here. Dorn's got a comment here. Blockchain tech could fix it easily. And we're talking about,
It
yeah.
could.
So
It is every politician's worst nightmare that you
not
might be
mine.
able to track a vote up and down the chain and ensure that there is only one. If you haven't already gone to isidewith.com, I urge everybody to go to isidewith.com and take the political quizzes and see who you're most closely aligned to. And that was interestingly one of the questions that I answered on I Side With. It was, do you think that every citizen should automatically receive a mail-in ballot? And I'm like, oh. And do you think that illegal aliens who reside in the state should be allowed to vote? No, obviously. Anyway, yeah, voting is a scam. It's all a scam anyway.
Well,
Yeah, I
wait, so
wonder
like
about that.
with all the mailed-in ballots, like, so if everybody gets one, why is that a bad thing? Can you walk me through that? Like I'm for.
Chain of
Well, but,
custody.
but
It's
again,
just
it's just
like
you
it's just
don't.
like with a nursing home. You don't know who's filling it out. You don't know who's presenting it. Um, who's to say that those couldn't be counterfeited, and more ballots can come in than their actual voters. But when
Okay,
I worked in a nursing home 35 years ago, at election time, they had people come in and bring the residents' ballots. These people were in the Alzheimer's unit. I mean, for
well,
goodness
but
sakes.
who are these immoral people that are?
Well, they justify it by saying the other person's going to kill democracy.
Well,
That's their
no, but I
justification.
mean, like,
People have done horrible things for profit and control throughout history.
No,
I mean,
it's been
I
fair
mean,
all the
as like
time.
from an individual standpoint, how do you decide? Yeah, I'm gonna go into other people's mail and take their
okay,
mail-in
so
ballots.
I'm going to
And like, how many do I have to collect to impact an election? Like David, like when you said that there were non-citizens that voted, like how many?
About 81 million.
yeah.
Oh,
So
no, I
let
didn't
me
say
let
that.
me I'm going to
It wasn't that many. I'm just
I'm
kidding.
not trying to be funny or to be insulting at all, Brad, but I'm going to take you back to the discussion that I have with my children when we
Yes,
talk
I
about
told you.
when we talk about human trafficking and all those kinds of things. There are bad people in the world. And some of those bad people in the world love to do bad things just for the joy that they receive from doing bad things. So, they may see themselves as moral. You see that as immoral because they're literally psychopaths and sociopaths. And there are narcissists who would do anything to be able to control the tax dollars. I mean, if you could wave a magic wand and be rich, wouldn't you want to do it?
Yeah.
Not at the expense of a bunch of people, like
Well, no,
that.
we're not even asking that because they don't care. See, that never
Yeah,
enters the
that's
conversation.
okay. So those people should just be stopped then. Like it's not like a. Sorry.
Well, I've got my Second Amendment rights, and so do you. How far do you want to take it?
Yes.
All right.
Henry
All right,
Ford,
there. Let's
Henry
calm down. We
Ford,
don't need nobody shot on the
Henry,
show.
Henry Ford said, over 100 years ago, that if you knew what he knew about just the bankers, that they would all be hanging from light poles by morning. And that was 100 years ago.
We're going to
So
get
we
into
don't
that too.
have any transparency, and there's too much fraud in the system.
Yep.
Well, Slickwoody wrote, "I
Right.
still get mail from the person that lived here 5 years ago." Like, so is he gonna send in the ballot?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, people steal checks out of our mailboxes here in Mars Hill. I mean, you think, who knows what it is? I think one of the things that would be nice, because we track, if you vote in a primary, the parties can get that information because it's their primary. But if we vote in an election, that's secret. You don't know that they do. So people won't know what you vote for in an election. So therefore, and David, you can maybe tell us the chain of, whatever the custody.
Chain of custody?
More than that, but they want to keep that secret. Well, when you keep it secret, there's no way to audit. And honestly, I think there should be, if you're running an election, whoever the candidates are, there should be it should all be there. You could all look at everybody's ballot and whatever. Now you should be sworn to secrecy, but we can't trust politicians, so we can't do that. But you should be able to look at it and say, "Oh, I lost or I won."
I don't hear any politicians at all on the national stage advocating. I mean, obviously, other than the libertarian, advocating for blockchain or some sort of technology that can track every single vote and make sure that the elections are actually fair. and
Yeah.
free of fraud.
Yeah. Good
Because
luck with
you know
that.
everybody is in favor of the fraud when it benefits them, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I would, not me. I want to win fair and square. That's when
Yes.
we were kids and they said, oh, if you want to be a football player, take the steroids. You take the steroids, you get big and all that. I said, I don't want to take the steroids. I'm going to do it on my own.
John, you have a moral obligation to win and to stop the communist dynasty in District 7. Like,
Yeah, I
completely
know.
serious.
I
That is a
am getting.
family legacy and
It
dynasty of
is.
corruption.
It is getting there. It is very interesting. This whole dynamic of things. Uh, it's just very interesting. So I just did a big advertising thing on a lot of radio stations. It's going to go from Monday to the end of the month at least. So we're gonna get a chance, and we have a lot of people like Dan Toll in the audience here that's doing a lot of video stuff, and Drew Weingarten, he's doing things, and obviously Spiro. We got some people that are really believing in this thing, but the reality is I need 30 to 40,000 more votes than I would get.
John, I
So
have a question. If
yeah,
you don't win, will you run again against Andre Carson?
I was that Tiffany, when you driving around a truck with me today, that is the first time it came across my mind because of the short time that, we've had basically 3 or 4 months for this campaign because of, we didn't run in the primary and all that. I'm just going to see how close it is. I mean, obviously it's very hard. You've run, I think we've all run for office here. It hurts. I had my little granddaughter ask me when I was going to retire. And it's like, I got this, I bought a fishing boat 5 months ago and then you start running for this. It's like that fishing boat's still in the garage, So you got to ask yourself what is it? But man, I'm
But
so sick and tired of these people.
also kind of what Lucy was talking about the family dynasty of crime and corruption and whatnot. I think that every time we run a Republican against Andre Carson, everybody takes a bite and gets as far as they can, but no one has taken 2 bites. No one's taken 2 bites of the apple. No one has worked it hard for 2 years, lost, and then worked it hard for another 2. I think that's what we come up against. And then also, with it being a presidential year, I think that's going to make it especially more difficult. But I mean, you've probably laid some tremendous groundwork for a really good run in 2 years. So don't
Oh yeah,
discount that.
I definitely think so, and a lot of minority people are tired of Democrats taking advantage and for granted their vote.
Correct.
And then a lot of these folks I run into, it's like they're like, some people laugh, you can't beat Carson, you can't beat him, you can't beat him. But other people say, what's your information? I'm interested in, and some people say he's got to go, which is totally different than before. But I am so tired of not being represented. I don't have one representative Republican in where I live, not one. And I wouldn't have a problem with that if the Democrats, I had Justin Moed or Andre Carson or whoever. I guess Jeb Barton, he's the trustee. He'll talk to me, but they won't even take my calls. They won't return my calls. I've run against both of them. They refuse to talk to me. I think it should be illegal to do that. You must have to talk to everybody.
Yeah,
I do, and then I get chastised for talking to certain people. So, David, let's get back to the subject of chain of custody. How could we do this general election stuff without divulging people's identities and still have an auditable situation? Because I know you know how to do it. I know you do.
All right. So your audio on my end's coming in real in and out, so I didn't hear the entire question. I'm going to kind of guess here. Are you hearing me okay? Am I?
Yeah. You're good. The raccoon's chewing on the wires, I guess.
Okay. So, the chain of custody and the tracking, especially with absentee ballots, there's several steps there. When somebody requests a ballot, they can do it in person or call my office. When we send them the application, that's logged into the system by date. I know when you requested a ballot. It's logged in the system when I mail the application to the voter. When the voter signs it, returns it back to my office, that date is logged. And then the date that the ballot is mailed out to the voter is also logged. Like all the ballots statewide are getting ready to go out Saturday at the latest. Federal law requires absentee ballots must be sent out to those who filled out the application 45 days before the election. Now, that's a federal law. And of course, the Congress didn't look at a calendar when they passed the 45-day law and realized that 45 days before Tuesday is always a Saturday. So we either have to go in on a Saturday or we mail them out on a Friday and we have to send in what's called a county authorization request to adjust the mail by date. So we'll be actually sending them out 46 days before the election. And then once we get the ballots back in, that is also logged into the system. So in Indiana, we won't have ballot dumps like you may or may not have seen in other states. I know how many ballots I've mailed out. I know how many ballots I've already received. I know how many I could potentially get back on election day. Since I've been clerk, they've changed the deadline for receipt of the ballots at the courthouse, at the clerk's office. When I first became clerk, I had to have everything in hand by noon. Well, now I can accept them all the way up to 6 p.m. There is one exception to that for overseas voters, military, spouses, and such. I can accept those ballots 1 week past election day. And that's why you see on election night, they say unofficial results. They're unofficial until they're certified by your county election board, and that can't happen for about 10 days after an election. So, results you see on election night are going to be pretty close, but, we still may have overseas ballots coming in. We may have to still review and cure provisional ballots that were cast on election day to see if they were valid or not. So the numbers may change up or down just slightly.
Okay, so you talked about provisional ballot there. Explain that for our viewers.
Provisional ballot would be if you present your ID and it doesn't show up in our e-poll book in the voter registration list. And there's several reasons that can happen. One, just a simple error. It got omitted somehow, some way. More common issues are your ID doesn't match your voter registration. You registered to vote 20 years ago, and your driver's license, you may have gotten married. You haven't updated your driver's license or your voter registration to a current last name. So if something doesn't match properly, anybody and everybody can actually cast a vote on election day. You can ask for a provisional ballot, but it's incumbent upon the voter to come in after the fact and prove that they're entitled to vote. That's the way it's written in law. I always try to figure out what's wrong with it. Where was the error? And if the voter is willing, I have them come to my courthouse on election day. I have my election board there. We're meeting in session. And if we can, we will review the information and cure the ballot. Curing means you'll accept that ballot, and we'll count it right then and there on election day if the election board decides to cure it. That way the voter doesn't have to come back in after the fact for another public hearing. Another issue that I've personally had in my county is twins. One twin registers to vote, votes, and then another one registers to vote a month, 6 months, a year later, comes in through our electronic hoppers, and you got the same last name, same date of birth, same address, similar first names. And if you're looking at it cross-eyed, you may miss it and say, oh, these are two different people. And if you miss it, you actually merge the two records together. So one person is registered, the other one isn't. Now we can go back through our records and find out where we made that error and fix it. So we've had that problem. Another problem I've had is with simply spelling of the last name not matching up. We have a family here in Knox County, last name O'Hara. The husband's name is spelled capital O apostrophe capital H-A-R-A. The wife was O-H-A-R-A. So they like four people in the family, and their last name was spelled three different ways on their driver's licenses. So the system didn't like that. So we had to, have them vote provisionally and, count their votes after the fact.
Yeah. So what is you've said you were clerk for 6 years. What's the closest election you had? And has there ever been one overturned in your tenure?
The closest election that I ran was a municipal primary, or municipal general election last year. I had one district city council race decided by 4 votes. We did have a recount, and election night reporting was confirmed during the recount process. So I've participated in 3 other recounts around the state. I was involved with the primary in Delaware County this year. I was appointed to the Recount Commission down in Gibson County this year, and last year I was appointed to Jasper, Indiana Recount Commission.
Yeah. So
I have a question for David. So, David, going back to Brad's question earlier about absentee ballots and the situations you just spoke about with the recount, could somebody harvesting ballots or doing something nefarious with absentees have affected the outcome in something so close?
Well, theoretically, it could. I mean, like I said, they won by four votes, so that could have thrown it. I know they mentioned, I think it may have been Lucy mentioned nursing homes. That's always been a concern of mine. You know, I've been on travel boards long before I was county clerk, and these people don't know what day it is. They don't know what their name is, but they remember that their daddy and they were Democrats back in the day, so they pull a Democrat ballot, and then they come time for them to vote, and you read off the names to them, and I don't know them, I don't know them, I don't know them, and they don't vote for anybody, or they just check the box. Now there have been some changes to state law recently to afford more protections for that. Now it is incumbent upon the voter themselves or their family member to request team come to the nursing home. In the past, we had activity directors at the nursing homes that would go around the entire facility and sign everybody up to vote. And I remember this one particular facility, which was actually outside of Knox County, but they had a lot of Knox County residents there who maintained their permanent address and registration here in Knox County, you know, went through and saying, okay, they want a ballot, they want a Republican ballot, whatever. And I look up this voter's history, and they've never pulled a Republican ballot in their life. So I had to call out the activities director and said, are you sure on this? Because they've never voted Republican in their life. Oh, well, I made a mistake. Okay.
Well, maybe they came to their senses.
Well, it could be.
Sorry,
you know,
Brett.
everybody has a moment of lucidity before the end.
People
so,
change, you know.
You know. But they're trying to, you know, give us more protections with the system. So now, like I said, it's incumbent upon the voter or their immediate family members to request an absentee ballot. But, you know, even if you've been adjudicated as being incompetent by court of law, you still have your voting rights. You cannot lose those no matter what, as long as you still have a pulse and you're not currently serving time in prison on a felony charge, you can vote.
Yep. So, on the, do you think that is there more absentee vote ballots? I mean, obviously we're living longer, and the baby boomers are getting to that age. Of course, I'm in that category. Yeah, I'm a baby boomer. I'm sorry. My birthday was last week. Remember that? I'm 21 times 3 now, 63. Yay. So, and I got the Medicare in the mail too. So that's good. It's good to know. In fact, I'm probably going to have to call a silver alert out on myself just to get downstairs. Oh. So, do you notice that there's more absentee stuff, or is that population getting bigger is my question, because of
I'm
age?
feeling like I'm seeing a trend back to election day or early voting in person voting. 2020 was such a crazy year to run elections. Here in Knox County, I had 5,000 absentee ballots. That was a lot. Normal election around 500. I'm on track, I believe, to be in the 500 to 600 range this year. I've received about 260 absentee applications for mailing to date right now.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know, Wayne's telling me about energy drinks. You do not want to see me on an energy drink. It was, I did one of those before a 5K one time, and I about, my shoes vibrated off my feet. It was tough. So no, Wayne, you don't have to worry about that. So, yeah. So as far as, let's talk about some dates of when things happen that need to happen and all that stuff. So right now you can register to vote, right? Take it from there.
Everybody can register to vote right now. The deadline to register to vote to participate in this election, if you do it at the courthouse, end of day on October 7th, which is a Monday. You can do it all the way up until 11:59 p.m. online at indianavoters.com. Okay. Even if you think you're registered to vote, it's a good idea to go ahead and check to make sure that you are still currently registered. You're still registered where you live at now. A lot of people move around a lot. You want to make sure you get the right ballot. So again, indianavoters.com.
That's an easy way to do it. Yeah, just click on there, get your little driver's license out, put a couple numbers in there, and next thing you know, you're voting in November. And then when's the election? November 5th, is that right?
November 5th. Early in-person voting starts October 8th.
October 8th, that's right. So everybody
every
get it done.
Weekday it'll be open from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. There are also 2 Saturdays available for early voting statewide at every county, and it runs from 8 to 3, and that'll be October 26th, and then again on November 2nd.
So in Knox County, is it the courthouse? Is that where you run it? Because here we have the city
Right
county
across
building.
the street from the courthouse, our former jail, former work release building is where
Oh,
I'm
that's
having my early
perfect.
voting at this year.
Work release.
Yeah, this work release, this voting's work. And then you have in your county, is your county laid out in townships like Marion County, or is that how do you just have
You mean for
satellites?
voting? Are we
Different?
precinct level voting or vote centers? Is that what you're
We
asking?
vote. Are you vote? Yeah, are you votes? Yeah. How do you guys do it?
We
still?
are vote centers.
Okay.
Well over half the Indiana counties are now vote centers. So any registered voter can vote at any of our vote centers on election day or at the early voting location. So, the early voting in any county is basically a quasi vote center system. That's what it looks like. Every
Right.
voter's data is in the e-poll books, even in precinct level voting counties.
So, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the vote anywhere, or would you rather go back old school? This is almost like when we used to do the class basketball for the state championship. Everybody did it, and one champion. Now we have class A, B, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, which would you rather prefer, the precinct or?
I like the vote centers because it increases accessibility to the voters.
Okay.
I have a lot of people that work out of county. Go by my house about a mile that way is US 41, and they drive down to Toyota down in Princeton. They got to be at work at 6:30, and sometimes they don't get back to close to 6 o'clock. Well, they can stop right off in the beautiful metropolis of Decker, Indiana, right over here when they first get back into Knox County and vote a half hour before they even get home. So it increases voter turnout. Since I've gone to vote centers here, I'm averaging about 5% higher than the state turnout average on our election.
Okay, good. How long have you been on it? Go ahead, and then
went on 21, so this is since 22.
Okay, it sounds like it's made your life easier, and other people can get access. So
Less
that's one
homework
government
is required as
program.
well.
There we go. Let's mark this date in history. That's one program in government that's actually working. So Tiffany, go ahead.
Sure. So one of our early voting locations in Fishers is, both of them actually. One's at a park and the other one's at this outdoor recreation facility. Are there any laws or rules about what can happen close to like a voting center? I know that you can't electioneer. Is it what 50 feet from the door?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 50 foot, and they kind of.
But what about having like concerts, cookouts, picnics in the same area as a voting center?
I say if it's outside of that 50-foot line, I'd be okay with it. I don't have anything like that going on. It's supposed to be like a radius from the door going into the voting area. So 50-foot radius all the way around, you stay out of it. No electioneering is supposed to take place in that area. And while we're talking about electioneering, you can't wear campaign apparel that has the candidate's name or likeness. However, if somebody, and Brad, I know you got one in the background there somewhere, you can wear your Make America Great hat to go vote and wear it in there, and they can't tell you not to. Okay?
Yeah, he got one. He's got one.
Yeah, but that's actually allowed.
Really, it just can't have the candidate's name. You can have a slogan or.
No, I was gonna pick one up at the debate when I saw Tiffany, but.
Oh yeah, that's right. You all went up to that thing, and those Republicans treated you like a prince, didn't they, Brad?
I sat in the corner and drank ginger ale,
and clutched your pearls.
No, I laughed. No, oh my God, it was hilarious. Yeah, we could talk more about it later, though. But yeah,
yeah. I was like, well, I went to the WIBC watch party, and I talked to people the whole time, so I missed pretty much the whole debate. Sounds like
they were yelling at the screen, like they were yelling "liar" at Kamala Harris.
She's never told a lie in her life.
They were yelling at this.
It was like a sporting match. It was like a sporting match.
So
it was like a UFC fight.
Did you ever
Trump's
see
biggest punches were when he said, "What was that? I'm speaking." No, I'm speaking.
We played a little bit of bingo. We played bingo.
Yeah, I have a bingo sheet. Yeah, and we got to fill in some of our own. That was good.
It was like Animal House when they were doing the black ball, and then they throw the beers at the.
But to Brad's point, I was surprised at how vocal the crowd was, and it was like watching a football game, to be honest.
It was. Yep. That's those, and the debate. they both everybody claims they win and all that, but I don't know. Some of the questioning I heard was one side, not like this show. We asked so many good questions. They should let us do one of these debates.
Wait, can we ask the question? Wait, because like Trump lost the debate, right? Like,
no, I just think here's my analogy on this. Kamala Harris didn't lose. That's the bottom line. I mean,
even with her secret agent earrings that she was apparently.
Oh, come on. It's not even
I mean, Kamala at that debate was unlike anything else I have ever seen. There's been other clips of her. I've never seen her that coherent before in my entire life. I don't know if they've got her on that Biden juice or what, but I don't know. They gave her a dose of clarity.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like neither one of them really answered any questions like that, But Trump Trump said he ate, like, Trump brought out the dogs so quickly. Like I recorded like just a lot of my reactions too from the audience, and it was hilarious.
I don't know where that came from, but I've been with Catholic Charities for 8 years, Catholic Charities of Indianapolis. And when we relocated some people from Asia to the south side of Indianapolis and put them in an apartment complex, some of the residents that backed up to the retention pond, there were reports of some geese being eaten. And so when the team went to visit them, they were like, well, hey, how's it going? And they were like, so happy, so happy.
So free chickens.
So much food. And they're like, well, what are you talking about? They're like, so much food, so much food. And they're pointing out the window at the geese. They're like, yes, food everywhere, food everywhere. So from my vantage point, my experiences, I could, I've heard instances of people from other cultures eating the geese that we have around here, which I don't think is a bad idea. But I don't know where it came from about people eating the dogs and the pets. I don't know.
Well, another thing, we have a lot of
JD Vance. Sorry.
Yeah. We have a lot of Chin people on the south side, and part of their thing was they would get their trees trimmed all the way down. And that's because where they came from, there's snakes in the trees, and they were worried about snakes in the trees. I'm like, well, we don't really have the snakes in the trees, but that's part of, that's where our cultures sometimes clash. And I think the biggest thing about this immigration flux that we've had, and I've noticed, I've been dealing with it since I got in business 34 years ago. I mean, we've had immigrants come in, and we've had to deal with the workforce and all that, but this is a different kind of thing. This was mostly South American people coming up. This is people from everywhere coming here, and we just can't manage them all. They're overloading schools with the language. I don't think it's all bad, but I just don't think it's just too much, too fast. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. And
it's like having too many people at the party. It's like we've run out of food, we've run out of drink, we've run out of space.
And here comes a hangover.
I mean, some people won't get enough.
We got free books, and
going back, John, to your comment about this being fair balance in the conversations, like small, like. And then at the end, he says, what, civil discourse? I mean, that's like.
I think I might have downloaded the wrong clip, maybe.
That's a crazy man rant. That was the wrong clip. What, was there one that was better?
I don't know. I could look it up and see, but he sent two.
Like, he used this stuff, and then it's just like, yeah, civil discourse. Like, no, that's not civil discourse.
Oh, my God.
That's
wait,
like,
are we
you
talking
kids, get off my lawn. I mean, that's what
Tiffany,
that is.
That was the greatest small talk I think I ever saw. That was
really.
Yeah, no, I downloaded the right one. I downloaded the right one.
I enjoyed that one.
See,
well, I mean,
it just proved my point.
Now, this on a serious note here, though. At some point, does it just become blah 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 blah? Because seriously, the last 8 weeks, he's ranted and raved about Micah Beckwith, and he was in the same.
I think Smalls is. I think he's jealous because Becca did some shit he wished he would have done.
Yeah, we don't cuss on this thing. Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think he's disappointed he didn't do it.
Yeah,
I keep saying loophole, and I know I shouldn't say loophole. Like it's
a provision in the Constitution of the state of Indiana.
Yeah, and it's like a don't hate the player, hate the game kind of thing. But that is what I hate. Like, and it's
You
not
hate the
Micah,
player.
but Micah is the one that has exploited that part.
He's
of
not
the
the only
game.
person, John. When David, when was that last done? It was done what 14, 16 years ago, something
Yeah, it
like
was
that.
Goldsmith, but Goldsmith dropped out. So they, there was some shenanigans there. So I want to talk to Lucy because I actually spoke at the LGBTQ plus Rainbow Chamber of Commerce downtown. And I know you guys will probably be interested to know that, Slick Witty was there and I was the only Republicans there, but we met your president candidate, Chase Oliver.
Chase
And
Oliver. Yep.
I like the guy. He's a decent, I didn't know who he was, so that was me sticking my foot in the mouth. I said, I was talking to him, and so
You
he
should have
came
just
up.
told him that Lucy, and he would have known exactly who you were talking
I
about.
was already had screwed it up at that point. I didn't want to drag you down with me, Lucy, on that. So he gave me that look like, you don't know who I am. I was like, no, I don't know. And he's a lot shorter than he looks on TV. But
Yes, he is not a tall man. That is for sure.
But yeah, and it was interesting
And you're
because
what, 6'10" or something? I mean,
I'm
everybody's short
I'm
compared to
just a
you.
giant. I'm like a giant. But it's interesting that there was no elected officials at all that, and they had quite a few, and we didn't know if we were going to. I just was going to go to be seen or to go where I go everywhere, right? So if you don't go everywhere, you can't say you go everywhere.
That is a demographic that you ignore at your own economic peril because most of those folks are dinks, dual income, no kids. So they
Yeah.
have way more discretionary income.
And they got time,
And
they got sanity
yeah,
because they now have kids driving them crazy.
I don't know if that makes you more sane or less sane.
I don't know.
Just saying.
I had kids. I had 4 of them. Well, you had 10 of them.
I had 10.
I know. Well, look at you.
Yeah,
I mean, really, you're on the
Yeah.
you're the center square on the Hollywood Mouthwash show. Start calling you Paul Lind. But yeah. So, but it was interesting. So I had to sit there and listen. So they went in the order of what you were running. So we went with what State House and all over. A lot of libertarians, wanting to, and then great candidates. I mean, just everybody, was in it for the right reasons. All that stuff. That's why they'll never win because we'll never win because we're in it for the right reasons. And so I had to listen to them pretty much bash both parties. And then if there was a certain Democrat there, they would bash the Republicans. So then I get to go like third to the end because we had, I was the only rep there. We had a Senate guy, Andrew Horning, great job. And
he's
then we
amazing.
had Chase. And so it was, so I had to get up there and talk for like 3 minutes, but it went well. I mean, I think people understood, I just did a little speech and it was all okay. And they were like, man, you're brave. You're a brave person. Not really, but anyway,
Well, that's the thing about libertarians. We want to keep the government out of your bedroom and out of your wallet. Both.
Yeah. No, I think we need to keep the government out of everything. I think we need to make
you guys are, pro-life, right?
I would say I'm right to life. I'm right to life. Okay, right to life's a different than pro-life because sometimes there's people that do bad.
Yeah,
things
that's a really good. That is a really good distinction, John. But no, the Libertarian Party, unfortunately, is torn apart by that issue, just like Republicans and Democrats are. But as a very conscientious, like to think of myself as a moral person, libertarian, I have to go with the NAP, the non-aggression principle. We believe that there's no. That's my dog, my poor dog.
Not a raccoon.
No, that's actually the dog. He's got a couple of hot spots. So he's chewing himself to death. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that government shouldn't have any business in our healthcare at all. But the problem is that you also have to protect the smallest individual units of society. If you can't protect an unborn baby living in its mother's womb from being torn into pieces and sucked out, then who else deserves protection? I mean, certainly not your average criminal on the street that, heck, Kamala says if you get into one of her prisons, she'll even pay for your gender transition,
Yeah,
So I guess she's willing to cut people into pieces at all stages of life.
And one of the recent surveys came out today that was talking about the most important thing was 43% economy, and abortion was all the way down at 7%. And the highest second place was 9% on education. Now, as running as a federal position, other than let's get rid of the federal, education board, that's about all you can really say. It's like send it back to the states, let them figure it out. but the government doesn't do anything really well, except for, wait, who does? I got a victory today. I beat the city today. I forgot to tell you this important announcement. So we appeal our property taxes every year. Now I want to go around the board here. Tiffany, we'll go around that way. Guess what year that they finally called me on? Guess what year that I'm appealed my property taxes? Guess which year it was right now. So Tiffany, which one do you think it is?
2005.
Oh, come on, Lucy. You're muted.
No, I missed it.
Oh, okay. Guess which year that I appealed my property taxes that they're just now getting to?
I'm gonna say 2015 because I think you've lived there at least 10 years.
Okay, go ahead, Brad. You guys are killing me here.
Like 1992.
Okay, that's good. David, you gotta get closer than me.
You appealed your 2021 payable 2022 taxes.
You did. You got it. See, well, wait a second. You heard me say it or something.
No, I didn't.
That's perfect.
Because I just appealed mine. I know how far behind it was.
I mean, they're only 2 years off.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the deal. So they had, since 2020, they've raised my property taxes like 4,000%. And I know you can see my beautiful Chateau de Marseille back there. All that parts is bricked. I added that on, and I know I need to be punished for adding on to my house and improving my property. I just got to be punished. But so they've raised my taxes up that. So we appealed it, and they were trying to say, well, your house is worth this value because your house in this neighborhood is worth X, Y, and Z. We don't have anything other than what's on Zillow that people are listing it for that. And I pointed out to them, I said, hey, did you happen to look at building permits or anything like this? And my house wasn't final till almost the end of 2022. So they went back to my original, $50,000 house or whatever for 2 years. So I get all those property taxes back. Yay! And we won.
Oh, congratulations.
So that's a long story, but my problem is, where are they actually how are they assessing these houses? Are they just guessing? Are they doing anything to figure out what and all that? And we have to go appeal them. Otherwise I'd be paying $194,000 for my beautiful Chateau de Marseille.
Can I just point something out here is that there is a candidate on the ballot statewide that will completely eliminate this problem for you. And he's already figured out that if you take that 7%, so Don Rainwater's plan, in case folks don't know, is we pay sales tax when we buy a car, pay sales tax when you buy a house, and then be done with it, and no more property taxes after that. So if you buy a $500,000 house, you pay $35,000 up front. That could even be a seller concession. They could pay that for you if they need to get their house sold. And guess what? After that, zero property taxes. When the government is responsible and they stop giving all these TIF reductions, to various entities, and they take that 35,000 and they put it in an annuity, guess what? That annuity will actually produce more money in the long run than by continually stealing from citizens. Plus, the citizens get to keep their money and spend it in the local economy. What would happen if everybody's property taxes that they pay, and by the way, renters pay double? People think renters don't pay into it. No, the landlords get charged 200% of what an owner occupant gets charged in this state. So what would all that money do to the local economy? How much would business be booming?
I just have one question. Taxation is theft. So
taxation is indeed theft.
One of the things that I was talking about with this was if you're in real estate, Tiffany, you're into real estate, and somebody buys a house, they may be reluctant to sell it because they got to pay this tax. So they may stay longer than they would, and then people wouldn't sell their house as much. Not right.
Taxes don't keep people in their houses. Their interest rates on their loans keep them in. I have a client who has a house that was made in the 50s. It's got original plumbing, some original electricity. The cost of repairing that for a new buyer is cost prohibitive for him. That's keeping him in his house. But the taxes,
I'm not talking about property taxes. I'm talking about if you had to pay 7% every time you sold or bought your house, or is that wouldn't bother? Okay. Well, the other thing is
kind of like what Lucy said. It depends on who's paying it. You would just roll it into the mortgage, or whatever.
I think you could do it over 1% over 7 years too. It could stretch it out.
Yep,
But
you could. And,
one of
and
the
you know, the fact of the
problems,
matter is when I was in the mortgage industry, I mean, I've been in the mortgage industry since 96. So back in like what, 97, 98, 99, we were doing 125% loan to value loans. I'm
Mm.
yeah,
telling you, the escrow companies and the mortgage lenders, if they knew that they could loan you that extra 7%, even if they did it as a, a second lien or something, they would jump at that in a heartbeat to not have the worry of missing a property tax payment and with the escrow account and losing the property itself. It
I
would
think one
save
of
them
the
so much money.
I think one of the bigger issues we're going to have in the state of Indiana is when assessed values come down and municipalities have to raise the tax rates just because some of the spending has gone up to match the
yeah,
increased
nobody
revenue
talks
that's
about
coming
no
in.
spending.
That's going to be really difficult for people just to kind of understand that your value went up, you paid more, your value's gone down, you're still going to pay more. So that's going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the other thing
Great
is
like that.
it's consistency on income. Right now, you're going to get that property tax from that person every year. So if you don't know when they're going to sell it, you don't know. Which in this thing, hey, if you don't have it, don't spend it. So I think it's a good thing in that way because the government can't spend it if they don't have it. I mean, although wait a
True.
second, I think they did that 33 trillion times. So I don't know if that actually works. But all right, well, hey, we're getting a little long in the tooth here. It's 10:02. Wow, that went fast. David Shelton's just a great guest, isn't he? He brought
David,
live.
I really wanted to know, how many more raccoons are out there right now?
Yeah,
We've not talked about them nearly enough.
Well,
yeah, we've not had live.
ran
Brad,
off.
where's your cat?
I've got two of them. I mean, I've got
Is it in
He's
stew?
He's over
4
there.
or 5 cats right now.
Yeah, you gotta have cats, or you have 5,000 mice when you live out in the country. I've been there, done
So
that.
the cats battle the raccoon. Is it only one, or are there multiple?
There's 2 raccoons that I see regularly around here, and then I've got
Okay.
4 full-size turkeys from my neighbors across the street. They've got guineas and ducks and goats, and I don't know. Got deer in the area and coyotes, a little this, a little that.
He's
Owls.
on his phone. You just got a thumbs up from one of your friends on your phone. That's when I'm doing the recording with Cassie for the show before. She does it on her phone. If somebody calls her, she goes away. I said you need to put on airplane or something. But hey, David, thanks for being on. I can't remember if you want to stay on for the conspiracy or not. I
I'll
have
probably
not.
duck out.
Yeah. Oh, duck out. I see what you did there. Watch that. Yeah, I
Gonna
saw
coon
that.
out.
So we thank you for coming on tonight, and we had a pretty lively little audience, talking there. So I'll
This first
play
time I
this.
was on with Tiffany.
Oh, for the
First time
show?
I've been on the same show with Tiffany.
Oh, really? Yeah, she usually dodges you. That's what she told me.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I was at a large HOA meeting and it went a little bit long. It was a really good meeting. So
Yeah. Yep. So, all right. Well, hey, thanks, David. It's
right.
tinfoil hat time. I don't
always
know
good to see you.
Yep. Thanks for all
Thanks
that
for coming
important
on.
information.
See you, Brad. See you, Lucy.
Yep.
Hey y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
All right. I got 3 other calendars. I just need to get them to you. Tiffany, I saw you the other day. We won one game of cornhole, but then we didn't win the other one.
Yeah, I was carrying him. Who would have thought that I would be carrying him in cornhole?
Well, you got started, but I did finish it off. Remember that we needed the one. We needed the one to win, and I put it right in there, didn't I?
I was actually impressed. It's like I think cornhole, darts, horseshoes, golf, tennis, pickleball. If you just practice a little bit, you'll be amazed at how much better you can get.
I wasn't getting too many breaks that on that. It seemed like there was a lot of good throwing there. You didn't either. We just seemed to not catch them. But we won one round, and then we got beat in the next one, and by a bunch of professionals.
And then the people who beat us got beat. I mean, it's fine.
Oh,
we
yeah,
showed up. We
I got
did
to
it.
put the banner up here. Is that the right one? There it is. We got blue
Everything's
tonight.
spelled right too.
That's amazing, isn't it? That's amazing. It only took me 5 tries to get it right. So we got conspiracies. I mean, there's a lot flying around right now, Lucy. What do you got? You start us off.
I'll start us off. Well, now that I've heard that Tiffany has gone to her HOA meeting, I'm going to start the conspiracy that Tiffany is secretly libertarian and freedom loving, and that she is going to disband the local HOAs and start a crusade to free fishers from tyranny.
Well, that's custom. That's custom right there. All right. Well, Brad, you've had 2 weeks to think of a conspiracy, a debate under your belt, all sorts of stuff. What do you got? Please have some.
I actually, well, no, like debate wise, yeah, Trump's biggest attribute, I think, is his ability to zing his opponent. Doesn't matter at all whether or not he actually has a policy. The biggest cheers were when he said, nobody goes to her rallies. I mean, like, I thought people were going to stand up and start cheering. But I left because I laughed. I was laughing at a lot of what he said because it's funny somewhat.
I heard he's a funny guy. I mean, I think he likes
No, he doesn't know what humor is. Like, honestly, have you ever seen him laugh? Like, what do you think Donald Trump laughs at other than, like, people losing their homes and, like, being bulldozed in, like, the Great Depression? I feel like he would laugh at that and, like, wring his hands.
And building the Trump Tower on top of their house.
Yeah.
That's all good. All right, Tiffany, what do you got? I got one tonight that I made up.
I don't usually have a conspiracy theory, but going back to the debate, I think that I think Kamala was fed the questions ahead of time. I do believe she had on some crazy earrings. The way that she performed in that debate and the way that she's ever been in any interview or live interaction, night and day, that was not the same person. Well, obviously the same person, but definitely hyped up on something, propped up if she's elected president.
It's going to be something. So
that just sounds like you say that she rose to the moment. I mean, like everything you described.
She was propped up at the Weekend at Bernie's part 2. That's what it was. Biden is Weekend at Bernie's.
Push back, Brad.
He is Weekend at Bernie's part 2. That rising.
So
to
what
the
was
moment.
that?
Give me, you know what? It's like she's been avoiding the press forever. I think I saw an interview that she'd given with somebody most recently, and they asked her a question about some policy, and she's like, I was raised by my mother, and she it wasn't until I was in high school that we were able to buy a house. That's like, don't give us all of this filler, just answer the questions. And that's the thing with a lot of oh gosh, here I go. A lot of people get sucked into these really soft, squishy stories, but you're not talking about the policies. You're not talking about what you're going to do for America. People are getting lost in the sauce. Brad, you were in that room and you were swimming in sauce. And the same way you were laughing when Trump was talking, everybody in that room was like, oh my gosh, like, what is she doing? But I will say one difference.
There were moments of silence when she would just talk about
one difference in the presentations during the debate. Whoever prepped her, they did a really good job of having her talk directly to the camera and talking to the American people. He does not have a plan. I mean, she did a really good job while Trump was talking to the moderator. And I think that was a difference in how they came across. That was, and I think they also learned that because during the first debate, Biden was like,
yeah.
And so they're like,
the guy who's not running anymore.
No. I'm talking about the president of the United States who's been incapacitated for some time, who probably he is not deciding what he's
having Biden derangement.
He is not picking his flavor of Jello. They are bringing it to him.
He's
barely getting it down. And so that's the thing too. It's that, like, can we trust somebody to lead our country who has misled us for years about the condition of the leader of our country? Biden didn't get sick 2 months ago. He's been sick, ailing, ill, deteriorating for the last couple of years, probably 3.5 years. So I think that has a lot to be said about, where this party is, how they've been leading the country, and what the path ahead will be. But I'm sure if she's elected, the Obamas will make everything okay. There you go.
Yeah,
The
that's
Obamas
amazing.
are in charge of the country. That's my conspiracy theory.
That's
my
it. Boy,
conspiracy
this is better than what you usually had. I'm glad you saved it for us. Well, I have two of them.
I hate you, Brad.
I love this. This is great.
I got two of them tonight. The first one is we will be able to find Bigfoot before we find Andre Carson. That is the first one. And then the second one.
I need to get my white dress out.
Yeah, that might great. We'll find out. You can go by his house with the white dress on and see what's up. See, because I heard he likes to go to the gentlemen's clubs and things. So I think we could use you for bait. How's that? Tiffany, we're going fishing with Tiffany. Go. So this one's serious. This is a serious conspiracy. This is about the Rothschilds, and Lucy, you'll like to hear about this. Goes all the way back. So if you'll notice, JFK started talking about the Fed and moving it around. And what happened to JFK? Oh, and then you got Ronald Reagan coming around in 1981, and he starts talking about doing what he wants to do and not what the cabal wants to do. And what happened to him? 1981. So now you got fast forward to Trump, and they've shot at him once and almost shot at him twice, and he's talking about doing that kind of stuff. So I'm saying that the Rothschilds are behind all of these shootings all the whole time. So there you go. I put it out there. So you can believe it or not. It's like Ripley's.
I kind of think that Trump is kind of like, I'm running. I'm going to do the best I can for America. This might kill me, but here we go.
They said he was calm again after that. But I mean, it's like.
Really? I thought he just wanted to amass more power for himself and create more of an international legacy so that he could use his power to get better patents and intellectual property rights for his kids' stuff all over the world. But that's just me. I could be wrong.
Well, if he catches a bullet, Lucy, that's not going to happen. So,
if he catches a bullet, the merch sales will be off the charts.
Not necessarily for him, but I mean, he'll get a holiday. I don't know.
Yeah, that's wow. This shows it de-escalated quickly.
It's just like honest.
Trump came down the escalator and our show went down the escalator.
This is the beauty of the show. We all have differing opinions, Right.
Oh yeah, we listen to
we have Brad who's crazy.
All right. Well, hey, Brad, she's picking on you now. I remember when
I love picking on Brad.
All the time, so.
Brad, I apologize for being too busy last week to apologize.
No, I walked in and Tiffany was speaking to the entire room. And I was like, of course she is. Like, why else would she be anywhere but there with a microphone?
So how many people went?
Well, Brad, it was my event.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, because you told me to RSVP with you. Yeah. So I was.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious that John sent you the invite. And I was just like, oh, okay. Well, it's out there.
Well, yeah. Because it all started just because I was just being like, I like parties, Yeah,
and I fixed you up, didn't I? So how many people were there, guys? How many people showed up?
We had probably about 80 people.
Oh, really? The WIBC people I bet they had at least 125 or so there.
Hey, I feel really good then. Yay.
You guys did good. And, and that crowd it wasn't all like right wing this or that. There was a couple there, but, there was obviously some Trump fans there, obviously. But I'm not sure if all were. But so we'll see. So we'll go around here. Who thinks Trump will do another debate? I say yes.
I think yes. Will Kamala do another debate? No.
She said
he has burnt up all her brain cells.
He has already said he's not. And honestly, it seems pretty clear that the answers were fed to her ahead of a time. So I don't see much point in him doing a debate. He can't control the forum. He can't control the people. They did stupid things in this debate. Did you guys notice that her podium was proportionately smaller and it made him look like a giant because he's a big guy anyway? I mean, there's just all kinds of things wrong with that.
She's a foot shorter.
That up. That's good, Lucy.
Yeah, well, she knows that with.
I think she had scripted. I bet she had scripted answers because every time you guys talk about, well, they didn't answer the question. It's like politicians never answer the question. They will just say what they've already rehearsed. That sounds somewhat similar to what they're being asked.
I think you're right. I think she had the Rolodex. Memorize the Rolodex in her head about.
She got one
Oh,
of those-
there's the question. Go to the P level. Oh, there it is.
She got one of those Las Vegas IVs that makes you smart. She got the smart juice.
Smart juice. That's what you get. All right. On that note, smart juice is what we have. Let me get rid of the banner real quick here, and we can say adios, amigos, and we'll see you next week. I think I had somebody that's coming on next week, but I can't remember who it was. So we'll more than likely we'll have somebody. I just can't remember who it was. And if you guys can think of somebody else in the process,
I love having David on, by the way, and I love having Andrew Horning on. If he ever wants to come back on, I'm talking to him is just depressing but fun. It's always like, hey, the only one who can solve your problems is you, and I'm like, that is the worst.
And he did a wonderful job at the Rainbow Commerce thing too. So
I vote for Dana
dude.
Black. I vote for Dana Black.
You want Dana Black to come on?
Oh,
Yeah.
She's been not in Indiana politics. She's sort of more nationwide now.
Should we get Mark? I want to get Mark on with
Mark
us.
Small.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
got
Yeah,
yeah.
and have
we're
some civil discourse.
All right, we're gonna have some.
Nanu.
All right, we'll have Mark Small live next week. How's that? All right, you guys ask for it, and we deliver here at the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. So, with that being said, everybody say goodbye. Where's the ending? There it is. Bye.